Tottenham have the chance to make history this season and finally end that long trophy drought extending all the way back to 2008 and more importantly, picking up their first European trophy since 1984. But there is still so much that could go wrong on the path to Bilbao and the Europa League final, and we cannot have any single scrap of complacency heading into this important game away from home against Troy Parrott and AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League last 16. It is a huge week for Tottenham. It seems like the season is hinging on this run to the final of the competition, and to be honest with you, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. There is so much that could go wrong in this game, and there are a few things that Tottenham are going to want to avoid when we do travel to the Netherlands for a rematch against Alkmaar, who we beat 1-0 in the league phase of the Europa, that Mikey Moore masterclass, I believe it was, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But this time, considering Tottenham finished inside the top 8 of the Europa League, they get to play away from home in the first leg and then bring Alkmaar back to North London for the second leg. And it is so important that Tottenham go out there and avoid defeat. That is one thing that we need to do, is make sure we don't come back for that second leg with a deficit to overturn. And importantly as well, there are 4 Tottenham players who are 1 yellow card away from a suspension, and if they get booked in this first leg, they would not be available for the return fixture. They are Dejan Kulusevski, Yves Bissouma, Rodrigo Bentancur and Lucas Bergvall. So some important names in there who are 1 card away from being suspended, and they don't reset until the quarter-final. So if they can just get through this next game without picking up a booking, Spurs could find themselves in a very good position. Now, we all know that the season for Spurs has not gone how we wanted, falling apart in the Premier League, getting knocked out in the semi-finals to a very good Liverpool team of the Carabao Cup, and unfortunately losing out to Aston Villa in the FA Cup, who have gone on to draw Cardiff and Preston and are very likely going to get themselves to Wembley and the semi-final of that competition. It's been hugely frustrating overall, but we are still in, I would say, the competition that most of us probably would have wanted to win out of the ones that we have competed in this season. The Europa League is something that could be so significant for Spurs when it comes to creating revenue for next season, for getting back into Europe. Of course, the big prize, of course, is the silverware and the massive trophy we'd finally be able to lift. But we would also secure a place in the Champions League next season, and I don't think we're going to have a better opportunity to go on and win a trophy, and win a European trophy more specifically, than this run in the Europa League. Of course, we could get through and face some tough teams in the quarter-final, could end up even facing Athletic Bilbao themselves in their home stadium in the final, but I'm thinking way too far ahead. We have to take this one game at a time, and right now we are looking at this first leg against Alkmaar. How are we going to go away from home and pick up a result that puts us in a very strong position coming back into that second leg? Well, it's very simple really. We just play how we know that Tottenham can play under Ange Postecoglou. The great news is we are expecting Christian Romero to be in contention for a place in the squad against Alkmaar. Vicky van der Ven is going to be touch and go for the game, as is Dominic Solanke and Richarlison alongside him. We are finally in a position where we can look at our squad and say, do you know what? We don't really have many injuries. We are looking pretty full strength, and it could not come at a more opportunistic time than the start of this run in the Europa League knockout phases. If we can get Romero and Van der Ven back into this starting 11 alongside Udogie and Jed Spence, the defence is so much stronger, and we've seen how much of a difference Vicario makes in goal for Tottenham, having returned to replace Kinski, who looked a little bit shaky at times in net for Spurs. And then you've got this midfield, this really exciting midfield, this new duo of Rodrigo Bentancur and Lucas Bergvall in the middle of the park, which seems to work quite well. And you've got Son and Kulusevski, who we sacrificed in that loss to Manchester City to rest their legs and have them available and at their sharpest for this game. It has been 8 days since we last played a game of football. I hope you all enjoyed the stress-free weekend of not having to watch Spurs, as painful as it perhaps was to not see them compete in the FA Cup and for a place in the quarterfinals when you consider the teams that are left in that competition. It's really disappointing because you see Obviously, Man City are in there, but we know that they're not at their best this season. And then the strongest teams left in that competition afterwards are Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, and Brighton, and maybe Fulham as well. And you look at that and you think, if Spurs were there, we'd really fancy ourselves to get to the final, or if not win it. But it didn't happen. We lost. We got knocked out. And I guess the flip side of that is we had the extra weekend to prepare for the Europa League, which is very clearly the priority for Tottenham now. I think Ange has alluded to it in almost every press conference over the last 2 weeks. The players have mentioned it as well. Kulusevski's come out and said the aim is to win the Europa League and finish as high as possible in the Premier League. So what do we need to do when we go to Alkmaar? How do we approach this game? And I've already mentioned, it's very simple. We play the Tottenham way. We play aggressive on the front foot. The thing is, there are no excuses left for Ange and the team now. We have the players available and ready to go out there and put in a performance. And let's be honest, I know Alkmaar are a good team. And I know they knocked Galatasaray out, which was a very, very surprising result. But Tottenham have a much stronger squad than AZ Alkmaar, and we should be going over there and we should be winning, we should be dominating the game, and we should be coming back to North London for the second leg with a healthy lead. And it may not be as simple as that, and maybe it's very unlikely that we see that sort of play out in this first game. But that's the reality of the situation and how it should be. The players that we have available to us now are more than good enough to get through this tie relatively unscathed. It's when you get into these quarterfinal and semi-finals that perhaps you start to worry a little bit more, but there just simply are no excuses. We have to be on the front foot, go out there, and if we can grab a very early goal inside the first 10-15 minutes of the game, it just takes all of the pressure off the players. But I think they will be calm anyway. And the reason for that is they know they're coming back home for the second leg. And that won't be the case in the quarter and semi-finals. We'll play at home first if we manage to get to that stage of the competition. So let's make it count while we can, going away from home first. If we can get Tell firing in front of goal, and if Son and Kulusevski are perhaps sharp either side of him, then what's going to stop us? Maybe that's me being arrogant, considering some of the teams we have played this season. You know, I've seen it all on social media. People expecting Spurs to win the Europa League when they can't even beat the likes of Leicester or whoever else it may be. But come on now. A fully fit Tottenham squad. We are really, really capable of doing something special in this tournament. And we're not going to get a better opportunity, I don't think, for many, many years. And we may not even be playing in Europe next season if things fall apart in the Europa League. So we have to make it count. And as I say, in every single position on the pitch, we have the players capable of doing a lot of damage to Alkmaar. Our wing-backs, they can be really aggressive and get forward. Jed Spence and Udogie is who I'm hoping to see start in the game. A midfield can be aggressive and we can go there to press them and force them into mistakes, because we did that when we played them in the league phase. And we have the quality to be able to take our chances. And that's going to be the key thing, taking our chances. We don't want to rue any missed opportunities in front of goal. We don't want to leave it up to chance for it to come back and bite us in the backside. It's so important that there are no mistakes in this game. We need to avoid the yellow cards to get players suspended, leave nothing up to chance, and put our best players on the pitch. And I do think Ange Postecoglou will do that. This is the lineup that I think he will go for this game. It will be, of course, Vicario in goal, and I think the strong back four is going to be very, very difficult to predict, the back four, because of the news about Romero and Mickey van der Ven. I do think Udogie will start on the left and Jed Spence will start at right back, because he's been phenomenal this season and we know how good he is. I just think Pedro Porro is the one that has to be sacrificed at the moment. At centre-back, I do think Kevin Danso will play, and then it's a question as to whether Romero starts the game. I don't think Van der Ven will necessarily be ready to start, but will Romero start? I don't think he will, and I do think we will see Archie Gray at centre-back alongside Kevin Danso once again, just because we want to make sure we're not leaving anything up to chance in terms of re-injuring two of our best centre-back players at the club in Van der Ven and Romero. So I do think they will start on the bench if they are available, of course. Midfield, I do think it will be Bentancur and Bergvall as that two. In front of them, I think he'll give a start to James Maddison. I really, really do. In which case that means Kulusevski gets shoved out on the right, Matthias Tell through the middle, and on the left, Heung-min Son. Now that leaves the likes of Brennan Johnson on the bench, possibly Dominic Solanke. I am recording this before Ange's press conference, so I may have some of the team news slightly wrong, so forgive me if that is the case, but maybe Solanke on the bench, maybe Richarlison, Mikey Moore, a few other players, Basuma, Papsar. We finally have a strong bench, and it is so re-energising to just see that. And that's why I'm so confident for this game. We have the players in our starting 11 and on the bench to be able to go out there and make a real statement in this competition and score a bag full of goals, shut RZ Alkmaar out, and really capitalise on some momentum that we've managed to build over the last few weeks. I know the Man City defeat was a little bit disappointing, but we are a team that are on the up. We are on an upwards trajectory now with the players back. We've started finally picking up results again and wins again week after week, and this is the one that counts. This is the one that counts, and I really just hope that the players know that. I hope they are aware that for Tottenham fans around the world, this means so much. It's all we've got left to play for this season, and everybody around the club knows how much we want to win a trophy, how much we're desperate for silverware, and I do think that the players will put everything on the line. It's do or die, and it could be die for Ange Postecoglou as well. Who knows? You know, they may evaluate his position if we get knocked out in this round of the Europa League. So he will be focused, he will be determined, the players will, the fans will be behind the team 100%, and this is the time for Tottenham to make their mark and put something on top of what has been a dismal season. I'm going to predict a 3-1 win away from home for Tottenham going back into the second leg. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. What do you think the score is going to be? Am I perhaps being too overconfident? Is it going to be a lot harder than I'm maybe making out? Who knows? We will see, but I'm really looking forward to the game. Of course, the 8 days without Tottenham's been nice, but also you do miss it after a little while, so I'm excited to see us back in action. Stay safe to anyone that is going out to Alkmaar to watch the game, and for the rest of us, enjoy the rest of our week. I will be back for reaction after the game on Thursday night. Let's hope that Tottenham do not disappoint us. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well, of course. It helps me out a humongous amount. And as always, come on you Spurs.